If you want to make money, then get off of YouTube and go get a job. But if you want your money to make you money, then stay right here and watch this video because we're going to be talking about the 3 easiest ways for you to build wealth in your teens and 20s. Hi, my name is Tessa and I'm glad that you're here because we talk about the things that make us happy, healthy, and wealthy. Now before we get started, I have a disclaimer to make. If money makes you nervous, and I mean like you can't check your bank account without feeling like you have to take a poop nervous, I get it. I've been there. I know what that feels like. But I am here to tell you that it's gonna be okay. I know I said that this would be easy, and I promise that it is, but this one's, it's not hard. It's not hard. It's just the most work. But if you want to make progress in anything, you have to do work, right? So it's not that I'm tricking you, because this isn't hard. It's just we want to make progress, and that progress that we want to make is tracking our spending. And while this is the most work out of all of the tips today, it also might be the most important, because we want the money to do the work for us, not the other way around. So if you feel like you're just going and going and going and working so hard, and all that money that you're making is just kind of disappearing and you don't even know where it's going and none of it's in your bank account anymore, that's not working. That's not working out for you, and that's not how we build wealth. We have to know where every penny goes in order to know what to do with it. And in order to know how to make the best decisions with what we have to know what we have. So you need to track your spending. And what that means is you want to record all the money that you're given and all the money that you're giving out, that you're spending. So every time you get a paycheck or your parents give you an allowance or you find $1 on the ground, we want to write that down so we know the total income that we have. And then anytime you go out to eat with friends or you pay rent or you buy a shirt or whatever you want to spend your money on, we need to know how much is going out too so that we know how much we end with. And the important thing is that we end with something. Because the biggest mistake that you can make with money is spending it all. No, I take that back. The biggest mistake you can make with money is spending money you don't even have and going into debt. We want to make sure we know what we have so that we know what we can do with it, and we also know what we can't do with it. And for my anxious people, because I'm one of you, I understand, and you're like, no, I'm already so stressed out about money, I couldn't possibly focus on it even more, that's only gonna make me spiral. It worked for me. I'm serious, because I used to panic about where my money was going and stress about it so much. But then once I budgeted and I actually made a category in my budget for fun, all of a sudden I had money to spend for things that I enjoyed, and I didn't feel like I had to save it all or else I was gonna die, because I knew that I could afford it. So it's worth it. It actually made me feel a lot better for what it's worth. Now, my experience isn't the same with other people. Obviously, if it makes you anxious, don't do it. we want to be happy and healthy first before we're wealthy. But I do think that it will help you in the end. The important thing is that you find a system that works for you. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else if it makes sense to you and you're able to track your spending with it. I probably went through like 6 months worth of different tracking systems that I used to track the money that I was spending before I found one that really stuck, and now I've been using it for over 2 years and I really recommend it. So I'm going to be tagging it below. It is Deborah Ho's TikTok famous budget tracker, financial tracker. I don't know exactly what she calls it, but I'll be tagging it below, and that's the one that I recommend, and it's worked really well for me. But you want to find one that works for you. There's tons of apps, and actually if you use your debit card or credit card more than you use cash, your banking app probably does it for you already. It might not be entirely accurate though, because that was one of the ones that I tried before I found the one that really worked for me, and it logged all of my pageant expenses as life insurance. And I don't know why it thought that Miss California was a type of life insurance. So that one did not work for me. But if it works for you, like I said, that's all that matters. And once you do successfully track your spending over a month or a few weeks or a couple months, however much time you need to really see a good pattern of the types of things that you're spending your money on, that's when you can create a budget that really fits your needs and that also fits your wants, because it's not going to be sustainable if you're not budgeting areas to do the things that you enjoy. For example, like I said, I budgeted a section for fun, and it gave me so much freedom to actually have fun in life and to have fun with my money, which is not something that I ever felt like I was able to do before. So the first step is track your spending. The second step is create a budget that works for you. And the third step, stick with the budget. Stick with the budget, because what's the point of it if you're not following it? So if you already have a budget laid out for yourself, I would love to hear about some of the categories that you have in it for fun. For myself, I actually have YouTube as a category of something that I can spend my monthly income on, because I find it really enjoyable and it's something that I want to invest into because it brings me a lot of joy. So if you have something else that you find really fun in your budget, please comment it below so that we can encourage each other to focus on those things and to spend our money in ways that make us joyful. I don't care how old you are, it's time to start thinking about retirement. And not only thinking, but planning for retirement. And I know that sounds crazy if you're like 10 years old and you're like, I'm literally in elementary school, which first of all, I don't know how you found this channel, but I'm glad that you're here if you are. And second of all, it's not crazy. You're able to start investing now, and I really recommend that you do. But before you can start investing, we have to learn, how do I invest? What vehicles do I have to put my money in to make them grow? So there are two main kinds of retirement accounts that you can open. There are 401ks and there are Roth IRAs. And while there are differences, one's not better than the other. You should open both accounts, it's just the differences might determine how much money you want to invest in one over the other. So the first main difference is the age in which you can open an account. With Roth IRAs, you can be any age. So like I said, if you're a 10-year-old and you want to open a retirement account, you totally can. It'll just have to be a Roth IRA. And you can only do it with parent or legal guardian help and permission. They have to help set up the account for you, and technically they have to be the one investing the money, but hey, you could give your mom a couple dollars from your piggy bank and she can put it in there for you. I don't think that she would have any problem with that. And then with 401ks, technically you don't have to be 21 to open the account. There's no law that says you have to be 21 to open the account, but companies and the people who allow you to open 401ks can have their own regulations that might prohibit you from opening one if you're younger than 21. There's just no legal national law, but there might be like company to company regulations. So in general, if you're younger than 21, open a Roth IRA. If you're over 21, open both. And now the second difference is how much money you can put into these retirement accounts. 401ks, wait, were 401ks on this side? I don't remember. 401ks, you can put an unlimited amount of money in. Whereas Roth IRAs, you can only put, as of right now, $7,000 in, unless you're like a senior citizen, and then you can put in a little bit more because the IRS is a little scared for you and wants to give you opportunity to kind of catch up if you haven't been making good use of your time. But for most people watching this video, you can put in $7,000. And if you haven't watched my first video, this is a great chance to, because I talk about how maxing out my Roth IRA or putting in $7,000 in 2025 is one of my New Year's resolutions. So go check that out. The final difference is how these accounts are taxed. So a Roth IRA, see, I don't remember, are Roth IRAs on this side? Okay, whatever. A Roth IRA, you get taxed when you put the money in. So like me, I'm pretty young, I'm gonna put the money in now and I'm gonna be taxed for my current tax bracket, which is pretty low because I'm young and I don't make a lot of money yet. So I'm not paying that much taxes on the money that I'm putting in. Whereas with 401ks, you get taxed when you take that money out. So I'm gonna be like, what, 65? hopefully I'll be pretty rich by then. Hopefully I'm taking my own advice and I'll be pretty wealthy and I'll be in a higher tax bracket, in which case I'm paying more taxes on the money than I would have if I had put it in a Roth IRA. But something to keep in mind about 401ks, because you're probably thinking, wow, Tessa, the way that you're explaining it, Roth IRAs seem so much better. That's not true, because 401ks have a unique opportunity called matching. Typically, 401ks are the retirement account that your company is going to offer you when you get a job. And they're going to potentially offer you a 401k match. I have a 4% match on my 401k. So if I put in 4% or more, my company is going to match that amount, put in the same amount up to 4%. And now that's really good, because that's not only is it free money now that they're just giving me, but that free money is gonna grow and grow and grow as I get older, and it's really gonna help me out when I retire. Typically what people recommend, and by people I mean financial advisors, is once you get a job, you want to invest as much as you can in order to hit that match. So if it's a 4% match, invest 4%. If it's a 5%, invest 5%. If it's a 6%, invest 6%, you get it. And at that point, all the remaining money that you can invest on top of however much you had to put in the 401k to get that match, you're gonna wanna put into the Roth IRA. And then once you hit $7,000 there, if you hit $7,000 there, if you have even more money to put in, then you're gonna wanna put it back in the 401k. That's what a lot of financial advisors recommend, but obviously you wanna make the decision that makes the most sense for you and where you're at in life right now. And if when I say where you're at in life right now makes you think, oh, but Tessa, I'm not in a place in my life where I need to invest. I have so many years until retirement. I don't need to start planning for it yet. Yes, you do. Are on the Dave Ramsey retirement calculator, and don't judge me. I don't agree with his politics if that's what you're thinking. I just think this is a reliable calculator. And I also don't agree with most of his financial advice if that's also what you're thinking. I just think this is a reliable calculator, and I will tag it below in case you want to play around with the numbers yourself. But I am going to be taking you through 3 different scenarios just so you can see how important it is that you start investing now. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the importance of investing as much as you can. So we're going to start with $10 versus $100. And I know that's a big difference. If you can do anywhere in between, that's great. If you can only do $5 or $1, that's great too. It's important, and you'll see why. So my current age is 22. What age do I plan to be when I retire? Dave Ramsey says 67, so let's just go with that. About how much money do you currently have? I'm gonna say 0, because if I'm like you and I'm just starting out, you're gonna have 0. And then how much will you contribute monthly? All I can contribute is $10 right now, which is great. If that's all you can do, do it. But hopefully you can do more. But I will show you with $10. And then Dave Ramsey recommends doing 10 to 12% for the annual return rate. That actually seems a little high to me. I thought it was closer to 8. So we're gonna start with 8 just to show you what it looks like conservatively. And then if you calculate this, you'll see that by the time I retire, just by contributing $10 a month starting now, I will have $52,000 for retirement, which obviously isn't enough to retire on. That's not even like a full year's salary for most jobs, especially not in Southern California. But you can see how crazy it is that I only gave $10 a month. And if you look here, I only contributed $5,400. That means that it grew $47,000 on its own just because I put it in this account. Isn't that kind of crazy? But now let's see what happens if you put even more money, because it's gonna grow exponentially. So this is the first example. The first scenario, I'm showing you the difference between $10 and $100. So we're gonna keep everything the same, but we're just gonna say I can contribute $100 instead of 10. So remember, we're going from $52,000 and now $527,000. And yes, we did increase how much we contributed quite a bit. We have here now we're contributing $54,000, which is a lot more than $5,000. But look how much it grew, $473,000 that you just earned for putting your money in this account at age 22 versus another older age, which I will show you next. So let's say we're going back to 10, we're back at 52,000, but I'm gonna start this, instead of being at age 22, I'm gonna wait 5 years. I'm gonna be 27. It's still young, I'm not even 30 yet, so I still have my entire life ahead of me. I only waited 5 years, but we're gonna see what happens to that $52,000. $34,000. I contributed $4,800, so $600 difference of what I gave, but look how much less it grows just because I waited 5 years and I was still young. I'm still gonna be young at 27, but because I started it today when I was 22, I made $20,000 more. And that's only when I'm contributing $10 a month. Now look what happens if I'm contributing 100. So we're gonna go back to age 22. I'm gonna go back to the 100. So we're back at $527,000 is what I'll have in retirement, which is now feeling a little more reasonable. I still don't think that's enough, but let's look what happens if I waited 5 years again. From $527,000 to $349,000. That's like $200,000. Contributing $6,000 less, but I lost $200,000 just by waiting a couple years. Do you see why this is so important that you start this today? And I know if you're an anxious money person like I am, this is the area that you're gonna think, oh my God, I'm so behind. I should have started this when I was 10 years old, like Tessa was saying. No, it's okay. The youngest that you'll ever be is how old you are today. So start it today if you haven't already. If you don't have the capacity to start it today, start it tomorrow. If you don't have the capacity tomorrow, start it the next day. Just start it as soon as you can because you see the difference just 5 years makes. So don't keep putting it off. Start today and start with however much money you can contribute. Even $10 makes such a difference, as you can see. And the craziest part is, this is at an 8% annual return rate, which is smaller than what Dave Ramsey, who's this big financial guy if you don't know him, recommends. Let's say we test out his idea that the market can give us a 12% return rate. So going from 8% to 12%, which you can't control, it's really just kind of how lucky you get in the market, but I'm just showing you the potential that this has. So even at age 27, contributing $100, we'll just start on the screen that we're at. We have $349, and keep in mind, I'm not changing anything, I'm just getting a little bit luckier. $1 million! Literally $1 million for just getting a little bit luckier. And you know how you get luckier? You stay in the market longer. So now, let's say at 12%, $100, you start it today at age 22 like I am, you go from 1.1 to 2.1. You literally just made $1 million by starting today versus waiting 5 years. Do you see how this is so important and why I'm so passionate about helping you get started today? Your future self will thank you. The best thing and the easiest thing that you can do for your future self is open a high yield savings account. If you don't know what that is, it's just like a regular savings account, but it's high yield. And what that means is if you've ever logged into your bank and you check your transaction history, you see probably every month or so, you have dividends that you are basically earning yourself as an income by investing your money with that banking institution. And you don't do any work for it, you just give them your money and then every so often it goes up little by little by little. But what if it could go up a lot more by a lot more by a lot more? Well, it can, and that's what they don't tell you. A high yield savings account is an account that just increases your dividends by a higher percentage than it was before. And that percentage is called the annual percentage yield. All you have to know is that you want your APY to be high. And it rhymes, so you can remember that. You want the bigger annual percentage yield because that's gonna give you more money in your bank account every month. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, it can't be that much more. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because tell me why before I was getting like $3, $4, and now I'm making like $120 a month. just by putting my money in a higher yield savings account. I literally did nothing but walk myself to the bank one day and ask them to open it for me and move my money over. That's as easy as it gets. It's all you have to do is ask your bank to open a higher yield savings account for you, and then you just make more money every month. Like, it literally takes 5 minutes and you'll be making more money every single month of your life just by doing that. And it's not like the stock market where this money's gonna drop. Like, there's no risk. There's literally no risk. It just increases your money. And they don't tell you about this. Doesn't that drive you crazy? It's like they want you to stay poor. I remember being in economics class several years ago, and the teacher literally having a slideshow about if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, in terms of financial advice and why you shouldn't trust get-rich-quick schemes. That's kind of hard to say. Get-rich-quick schemes. You shouldn't trust them. And that is true. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, and you shouldn't trust it. But this time, I promise it's legit. But there are two caveats. I wouldn't say that they're tricks, but they are something that you need to be aware of, just so that you don't come back at me later and tell me that I made you make poor financial advice, like that guy in Squid Game who they beat up. I don't want to be like that YouTuber, okay? I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to tell you to invest in some online Dogecoin that's gonna ruin your finances and end you up in the Squid Game. So just listen to these two caveats. The first one is that it is taxed.
Are you kidding me?
Which sucks. But you're still making more of an income. The tax is gonna be a percentage of whatever you make. So while you are gonna owe that money to the government at the end of the year, it's gonna be less than the government gave you or the bank gave you by signing up for this. So you're still coming out with a profit. And then the second thing that you need to know is that there are limitations to who and how you can open these higher yield savings accounts. Oftentimes there is kind of a high minimum amount that you have to have in order to open an account. From my bank, I believe it was $1,000. You had to put at least $1,000 into the high yield savings account in order to access the higher APY, which makes sense for the bank if you think about it. But it's a little frustrating for people like you and me who are younger and don't have that much money, and we're just trying to make more of it, but we're not able to because we don't have more of it, and it's a vicious cycle. The rich get richer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you get it. So just save your money until you have enough to open one of these accounts, and the limitations are different at each bank. So if one bank is telling you that you have to have more money than you do, just check out another bank and see if they have a lower minimum requirement for how much you can put into these accounts. So they may not be accessible to everyone, but if they are accessible to you, I really recommend opening one. They are the best and easiest financial advice that I can give you. If you took one thing from this video, I hope it's that you truly believe in your heart that it's gonna be okay. No matter what your financial situation is, not only can you be in control of your money, but you already are. So make the best decisions that you can with the information that you have and with the capacity that you have to make these changes, and then just trust that you'll be okay for the rest, because you will be. And whatever you decide to do, I'm proud of you for. I mean, you're taking one more step to financial freedom. That's pretty cool. But if you want to start taking even more steps, then I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel, because we're going to be growing our wealth together this year. Thanks.